good day, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of the Save Canada channel. My name is Landon, and I'm here with quite a juicy and even controversial topic to some people, weirdly. As of recent in Alberta, Premier Danielle Smith is planning to invoke the notwithstanding clause on a law that would ban gender-affirming care for children. I have an article here from the Edmonton Journal which states, quote, "A leaked internal memo from the government says the United Conservative Party government plans to apply the clause this fall to the law and 2 others that require parental consent for children to change their names or pronouns in school and that ban transgender girls from competing in female sports." Honestly, with this news, another massive Alberta win here. We like to see the W's being collected. It's nice seeing a bit of normalcy in all the madness that is Canadian politics. However, quite wildly actually, people are opposing this. Anonymously, a mother was quoted on that same Edmonton Journal article saying, quote, "She," as in the mom speaking, "tried to persuade and manipulate him, her son, or biological daughter, to identify as a girl. It took a long time for her to accept what he was telling her. He is too young to start taking puberty blocking medication, but wait until he turns 16 isn't an option." But why isn't this an option? She mentions puberty having irreversible changes on the body, but so does transitioning. She uses this as a reason for them, her family, to move out of Alberta if the clause were to go into effect, seen as a harmful thing to her daughter. It's honestly such an awful thing that there are these parents out there who view malforming their child and destroying their developing bodies to cater to these feelings as any bit positive. And these feelings are instilled in them absolutely almost all the time. These feelings are put into them by the media and by schools, their teachers. Like, watch this clip here. It's such an awesome clip.
This is Severin, who is my very new best friend, and Severin is going to help us learn about pronouns. And how do you know what your pronouns are?
It's not what you are born. It means what's in your heart. What if I wear a dress? Does that mean I'm a girl? Or what if I wear blue pajamas? Does that mean I'm a boy?
So what you're saying is that in your heart is really what you are, right?
Yeah.
That clip you just watched, that's from the CBC. That's their kids channel. Apologies for the fact that it's got Instagram watermarks and shit all over it, but I couldn't find it anywhere else in a good amount of time. Regardless, children are absolutely too young to be making these kind of decisions for themselves, and any claims that it's a discriminatory thing are completely blindsided to the massive problem that transitioning a child brings. And I also want to make it clear here too, I'm not attacking trans people themselves. I'm attacking transitioning children who are vulnerable, developing, and can't make these kind of decisions for themselves. I'm attacking the idea of transitioning children. Trans people themselves, like grown adults who've made these decisions with a good, conscious, able mind, they can exist in their own little bubble in the world. They can have their little la la land or whatever. They can exist regardless if anyone agrees with them or not. But it's disgusting, really, to see how much gay and trans people they go after children because they know they can't reproduce by themselves, so they need to induct. And what comes after they induct these kids? Well, many of them grow up trans. They grow up trans and they regret it later in life once they're grown up and they've gone through puberty and everything. Or you have them rendered infertile. They're unable to have kids, and they regret that too. In the middle of a birth rate crisis, mind you, in Canada, you see you have all of these problems. You have them regret, mind you too. Some people will say, oh, the statistics of people who regret it are quite low in trans people. But mind you, survivorship bias, we all know. So you have these problems, and then you have, like in the US for example, you see them like shooting up Catholic schools, and you see people like Tyler Robinson dated a trans person. So, admittedly, not a trans person themselves, but they went out and committed violence. They're associated with this group of people. More often than not, though, I'm not trying to vilify these people. They're humans. But more often than not, this violence you see taken out is a minority of cases Instead, you see it being taken out on themselves, as reflected in their high suicide rates. So now, with the whole situation going on in Alberta, people are starting to seriously question how the notwithstanding clause impacts the rights of our people here in Canada. Because we have in our charter an entire section, section 33 of the charter, that details the notwithstanding clause and how it's a compromise to ensure that the federal government doesn't gain too much power. But this entire compromise just compromises, ironically, the entirety of the charter and what it tries to do. We see it here being used for, an actually good cause, but there is potential. The federal government is allowed to use the notwithstanding clause in a compromise made to ensure that the provincial courts don't be overruled completely. The federal government is allowed to use it. I don't see the logic in there. And so it runs the risk completely. If the federal government really wanted to, your rights, like your right to free speech, your right to freedom of religion and expression, they can just be completely shut down. But of course, we know they don't do this because this would cause an outrage. There'd be protests across the entire country. So instead, they're not going to use that notwithstanding clause to just nullify your rights. Instead, they'll do it secretly. You have bills like Bill C9, Bill C8, Bill C2. They'll do these things through different channels so that people pay less attention and they can just get away with it. So then we come back to Alberta using the notwithstanding clause and it being used for a good purpose, really. We don't want to see children being turned into suicidal zombies. But then this also begs the question of how are the Liberals, how are the people pushing this agenda going to react to Alberta fighting back against this agenda being pushed on children? How are they going to respond? The use of the notwithstanding clause on something like this could potentially be used as justification for them to do something in return. Or alternatively, they could just do nothing. Because clearly, the people pushing this who reside here in Ontario and Ottawa, they don't care really at all about what happens out west. I live here in Ontario, and I see that. They don't care any of the other provinces other than Ontario, where the majority of the population resides, and that's where their main focus is, because they can get as many people on their side by focusing on that area. So, if we want this kind of stuff to continue happening, we need. I don't have any faith that it will happen. I doubt anyone has the balls to stand on this kind of platform. But if we want to see many of what we see today, the sickness that's in Canada, we need to see the Conservatives backing Alberta on this. And they need to back them on a national level. Because ultimately, this what we're seeing in Alberta here is in the best interest of all of Canada. Despite how far left Canada's politics have gone and how insane everything we've seen is, it is still in the best interest of everyone in Canada and just the world in general, all of the Western world. You see, the United States is finally pushing back on it, and we can't just fall behind. And you see, so many Canadians are so afraid to be called or compared to America. They're afraid to be called like Maple Americans or compared to them. Like no, we're totally different. Our culture is an entirely different thing from America. But no, we're completely intertwined. We live just north of America, and we share much of the media we view, and we experience many of the same things that they do. We are very similar. The whole anti-America message that's being pushed by liberals now, and especially in face of all the tariffs, is such a counterproductive thing. We can work together with Americans. We just need people who can actually align Canadian values with American values. And Canadian values right now, as in the liberal values pushed onto us, they're not real Canadian values even. They're pushed down by the World Economic Forum and these people who stand on their moral high grounds talking about, oh, equality for all. This is a great melting pot. Diversity is our strength. Where is that strength? Our nation is weak. All of this being said, there's still a chance to fix Canada. It'll take plenty of work, it'll take plenty of time, and it'll take a great rechanging of our society to truly address the root cause of all the problems here. But it can be done. And that's why we need to save Canada. And that's all I have for all of you guys tonight. See ya.